We've discovered that there's something all around us, invisible but powerful, affecting our lives in big ways. This invisible stuff can either support life on Earth or harm it if it gets messed up. The human body has its own invisible protective shield, sort of like an atmosphere, extending about 3 feet from our bodies. This shield comes from inside us, radiating outwards from key areas like the heart, brain, reproductive system, and certain glands. It's not just there randomly, it's a strong defense mechanism. It's like a shield we're given to defend ourselves from harmful outside stuff. When this shield is working well, we become super resistant to most germs and diseases. We can even be around sick people without getting sick ourselves. This is really helpful for nurses and doctors dealing with contagious diseases. This invisible shield around us isn't just physical. It's got some extra stuff going on too. It can get better or worse depending on how we train our minds and how we think about things. Positive thoughts and actions can make this shield super strong and protective. But if we start thinking negatively or using our abilities in the wrong way, this shield can start to weaken. And the worse it gets, the more likely we are to get affected by bad stuff around us. This weakening isn't just physical, it affects our emotions and even our thinking. So it's important to keep our minds in the right place and use our abilities wisely to keep this shield strong and keep ourselves safe and healthy. Just like humans, the Earth has its own strong magnetic field. Right now, though, it's in a bit of a mess. This magnetic field kind of collects all the mistakes people make, forming a jumble of harmful vibrations. We can see that nature is getting upset lately. For a long time, we've thought that everything we do only makes things better. But actually, some of the things we do end up causing harm and even undoing the progress we've made. And this messed up magnetic field is a big part of it. Currently, the Earth's magnetic field is like a dumping ground, similar to a sewer. It's filled with all the bad stuff we're doing in our relationships, both within countries and between them. Almost every thought and action of people is making it dirty. We've forgotten that our actions have consequences and that nature can punish us for doing wrong. In the past, people blamed God and the devil for everything bad happening. But now we understand it's simpler. It's about what's right and wrong constantly battling each other. Doing the right thing boosts the good energy around us. It leads to positive actions and behaviors that help nature thrive. It makes us happier and helps flowers bloom, among other good things. But if we keep polluting this field with bad stuff, it can cause all sorts of problems and destruction. Now, if we take a look at the old stories about Atlantis, an ancient island civilization, according to Plato, this place was destroyed because it got really corrupt. People were doing a lot of bad things, like being dishonest and doing too much of everything, and then in just one night it was all gone. Now, we usually think of this as just a story, but it's kind of like a warning for us today. We don't want to end up like Atlantis, but we can see that our planet is struggling. There's a lot of stuff happening that's making things harder for Earth to handle. So maybe it's time for us to start cleaning up our act and taking better care of our planet and ourselves. When we look around, we see billions of people doing things that harm nature's balance. Many of them don't even realize they're breaking any rules because they don't know there are rules to follow. They believe they can get whatever they want, however they want, even if it means being corrupt. So, our planet is getting weighed down by all sorts of messed up thoughts and feelings. On top of that, we're also misusing natural resources. Look at big cities. They're like giant concrete jungles. All that concrete messes with the natural flow of things. The air around these cities gets polluted by all the stuff used to build them. And it's like we're not even thinking about how it affects nature. We haven't figured out any clear rules to fix all the bad stuff people are doing, or at least we're not willing to admit them yet. Think about how we can pick up radio or TV signals from the other side of the world, and they can travel thousands of miles through space. Now, what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off? Even if it's far away, doesn't it affect the magnetic field around us and nature? The big problem we're dealing with today is how nature is getting messed up. This happens because people are too focused on themselves, always trying to compete and not really thinking sensibly. All these things together cause a lot of trouble, and we're seeing that trouble now, but we're not sure why. Some people who focus only on the material world might say it's just a natural accident, something that was bound to happen. Others, like theologians, might say it's punishment from God for people who aren't good. But in reality, it's probably because the planet's magnetic field is getting messed up and polluted. And compared to that, our own magnetic field, which surrounds our bodies like a faint light, extends about 3 feet away from us. Let's talk about this invisible bubble around us. Long ago, some ancient thinkers like Platonists and Gnostics wrote about it. They called it the magnetic field, but you can also think of it as a sort of bubble made of energy. This bubble wraps around each person kind of like a protective coat. It's like the clothes that keep us warm and safe inside. This bubble isn't just any clothing, it's special. It's like the perfect outfit, seamless and just right for us. And it's really important because it keeps us safe and helps us survive. When we think about our interactions with the 6 billion other people on this planet, we realize we have a lot of control over the problems that come up in our lives. Nature has given us some tools to help deal with these problems, and if we use them right, we can handle a lot. One important thing we've learned is that our attitudes affect this invisible bubble around us, our magnetic field. Research shows that when we feel strong emotions like anger or have negative thoughts, it changes the colors in this field. Normally, these colors should be bright and clear, but when we get upset, they start to change. Our attitudes are like colors in a painting that surrounds us, the Earth's magnetic field. These colors represent how we feel and think. When our attitudes are positive and healthy, the colors in our magnetic field are vibrant and balanced. This contributes to our emotional and mental well-being, making us feel good and think clearly. However, when our attitudes become negative or troubled, it can disrupt these colors. It's like a jumble of shades that don't quite fit together, signaling that something is off in our emotional state. This imbalance can affect our overall vibration, similar to feeling unwell or out of sync. It's essential to pay attention to our attitudes and how they influence our magnetic field. When we nurture positive thoughts and feelings, we maintain a harmonious energy around us. This positivity can help us stay resilient in facing challenges and maintain a healthier outlook on life. If we notice our attitudes becoming negative or out of balance, it's essential to address them. Taking steps to cultivate optimism, practice gratitude, and seek support from others can help realign our emotional and mental well-being. Now, when we're in the middle of getting mad or upset, we might not think we're sick. We might just feel annoyed and think someone deserves to be yelled at. But actually, when our magnetic field gets messed up, it's bad for us. It weakens our defenses and makes it hard for our body to work properly. And it's not just getting mad that can mess up our magnetic field. Any kind of excess, like using drugs, can do it too. When our invisible self starts falling apart, it eventually affects our physical body too, leading to decline and decay. Every action we take has consequences, and if we do something that messes up our magnetic field, it can take a lot of time and effort to fix it. So even a little temper tantrum can cause big problems that take a while to sort out. So what does this all mean? Well, it means that there's a certain way of thinking that's really helpful. You could call it a good attitude. I believe that deep down, people are naturally nice. We're meant to be kind, helpful, and hopeful. We should want to make things better, look to the future, and try to fix any bad feelings we have. Basically, we need to stay calm and happy to stay healthy. When we get upset, it's like we're getting sick, but not in a way you can see. It's invisible, so we might not even notice it's happening. Sometimes we even use our bad moods on purpose to get what we want, but that's not good for us in the long run. It all starts with that first time we lose our temper. It hurts our invisible bubble, our magnetic field, and over time these little hurts add up and make things worse. It's like when someone tries drugs for the first time. It might not seem like a big deal, but then they can't stop. The same goes for our attitude. If we keep getting mad all the time, it becomes a habit, and that's bad news for our defenses. Our magnetic field needs us to be well balanced and organized to stay strong. A lot of the sickness we get isn't just from bugs or colds. It starts with our mood and ends up in our body. And as our defenses weaken, we become more vulnerable to all sorts of problems. But it's not just our personal attitude that matters. The way we do things in society can mess with our magnetic field too. We might do things a certain way just because everyone else does, even if it's not really right. And all these little things add up, making our world less stable and more prone to disasters. Look around at all the bad stuff happening. Wars, disasters, they're all connected. And it's like a cycle that keeps going because we keep doing the same things. But it doesn't have to be that way. If we change what we're doing, we can break the cycle and make things better. How can we begin to solve these problems, especially since we can't do it alone? The key is that when many people work together with a positive goal, it creates a strong force. This force grows stronger with teamwork, and it all starts with each individual. To make a difference, we need to join a small but growing group of people who realize how serious things are right now. The biggest threats we face aren't just in wars. They're in the energy, life, and awareness all around us. The damage we're causing doesn't just hurt the planet, it hurts us too. The things we can't see, like how we treat each other and the world, are even more dangerous than the things we can see. It's a cycle. The visible problems we create lead to more hidden problems, which then make the visible ones worse. It's a serious situation. So what can we do about it? Well, let's focus on how we can become nicer, more balanced, and happier people. Now, when it comes to reasonably happy, no one can be super happy all the time, but we can do things to feel better. Imagine if we could see someone's invisible parts, like their magnetic field, emotions, and thoughts, with special devices. When they're calm and content, it looks like a beautiful rainbow around them. But when they get upset or angry, even a little, it changes. Imagine someone getting mad. It might just look like a frown or clenched teeth on the outside, but inside, their magnetic field changes right away. Saying something mean or unpleasant weakens their defenses against negativity. If it happens once in a while, it's not a big deal. But if it becomes a habit, it leaves a mark, like a scar, on our ability to stay balanced and healthy. When our magnetic field gets messed up, it affects everything, our memory, our morals, and even our energy levels. We might think it's normal to feel tired and stressed all the time because that's just how the world is now. But many things we think we need, like gadgets or constant entertainment, might actually be making things worse. They mess with our magnetic field, both around the Earth and inside us, causing problems. We're developing bad habits, like people with alcoholism or drug addiction. Big cities are a perfect example of these bad habits. They're bad for us in many ways. They're not natural or necessary, but we call them progress because we think moving forward means creating more problems. It's like we're heading towards disaster instead of success. To tackle this problem, we can start by paying attention to our body and how it works. Our body is like a magnetic energy field, and it can get drained in many ways. But it's also what helps us move towards a better life. The important thing to remember is that nature in its natural state is good. It's friendly, helpful, and beautiful. It's where we find growth and progress. But when we misuse nature, it turns bad. Abusing nature becomes a tragedy for everyone, and we often don't even realize it's happening because we can't see it. If we could see all the damage we're doing to nature, we'd probably want to fix it. But the thing is, we only see the surface of things, and we only notice the problems. We don't always realize where these problems come from. We see them as enemies, but most of the time we're the ones causing them. We don't want to admit this, because it gets in the way of what we think is progress, which usually means getting what we want without caring about others. All of this leads to a sad situation in both the world we see and the one we can't. The only difference is you can't change the invisible world by voting in new leaders or making new rules. The only way to make things right in the invisible world is to correct the mistakes, remove the bad stuff, and return to living the way we were supposed to. There's a lot of evidence showing this. We're starting to get concerned and understand that there's a link between all the disasters happening around us and the personal problems we encounter every day. We're beginning to understand that when countries fight, it affects everything around them. And when we keep setting off nuclear explosions without considering the consequences, we're causing permanent harm to the invisible parts of our planet, the parts we don't normally think about. Many people don't believe it, but something is happening that's making us realize there's a way nature reacts when its rules are broken or its functions are harmed. We're starting to see this more clearly now. In some teachings, like in the Good Book, it says that if we do what's right, even if others don't, there's a power that supports us. When we're doing what's right, we're protected and can keep going, even when things are difficult. This idea of being right is like wearing a special kind of armor called the armor of righteousness. It's like a shield that protects us not only from the visible problems in nature, but also from the invisible pressures around us in the world. To get this protection, we need to start living our lives in a way that's in harmony with nature. We have to think beyond just making money and focusing only on ourselves. We need to understand that there are rules for everything. When we have problems in our relationships, homes, or lives, it's often because we're breaking these rules. Our actions and beliefs have a big impact on whether our species and other forms of nature can keep going strong. So let's think about how we can find harmony and happiness in our lives. We need to ask ourselves, what can we do to achieve this? And whatever we decide to do, it shouldn't harm anyone else. If we hurt others while trying to be happy, it messes up everything. We need to find ways to be happy without hurting others, without stealing, and without making things worse. True happiness comes from appreciating the good things in nature and life that we're all born with. We're meant to make this world a beautiful place, but instead, we've let it become messy and corrupted. We need to understand this. Let's take a look at history, like the Hindus do in one of their sacred books. They talk about how civilizations have fallen because people didn't take care of the earth. If we don't want the same thing to happen to us, we need to make things right. Nature won't let us fail without consequences. When things get really bad, a big change is needed. It won't be easy, just like punishing a naughty child isn't easy. But it has to happen because life needs to keep going. People need to grow, and the world needs to reach its full potential. If something keeps getting in the way of this, nature will respond with a disaster. So it's important to keep our inner world in harmony, even if we can't see it. As long as we stay peaceful within ourselves, we'll be better off in the long run. Now let's talk about finding happiness even when life seems tough. First, it's important to understand that everything we experience is part of our journey of growth. It's like attending school in the house of the Holy Spirit, where each of us has to face specific challenges and learn from them. The aim is to take the difficulties we face, improve them, and use them as chances to become stronger and wiser. These lessons, called the Abecedarian studies, are important for our personal growth. But in today's world, many people try to avoid facing difficulties. They prefer to skip the hard parts and only focus on the good times. But actually, it's the struggles that help us grow and improve ourselves. So instead of avoiding challenges, we should welcome them as opportunities for growth and improvement. It's like turning obstacles into steps toward a happier and more fulfilling life. Changing the cause of our problems is nearly impossible. Whatever we've done or deserved will catch up with us eventually. So, the first step to finding happiness is to actually deserve it. But what does it mean to deserve happiness? Well, it's all about watching ourselves closely, regularly checking our actions and thoughts. That's why ancient practices like yoga were started. Yoga isn't just about bending and stretching. It's a way to discipline our minds and lives. It's about committing ourselves to timeless principles that help us navigate life. Having a philosophy of life helps too. It gives us a set of principles to live by and helps us understand the world around us better. If we truly believe in a higher power and a divine plan for perfection, then it's up to us to work alongside it to improve ourselves. We might believe that our wrongdoings will be pardoned if we belong to the right group. But that's not how it works. Regardless of whether we're religious or not, the results of our actions still affect us. So let's concentrate on being happy. Sure, we all have times when we feel happy, but real happiness isn't just about avoiding worries, it's about accomplishing good things and feeling satisfied. Just going through life without any worries might seem fine for a bit, but it's not a long-term fix. Sometimes our mood can shift from neutral to something else, like happiness. Happiness isn't just a sudden burst, it's more like slowly turning the not-so-great parts of ourselves into something better. We have to change all those negative qualities we have. It's not really that hard to change these qualities, as long as we're willing to let go of our mistakes. Changing our temperament, or our natural way of reacting to things, is easier, because nature supports us in this effort. But if we get distracted by other motives, it can be tough, taking a long time and feeling almost impossible at times. Every day, when we wake up in the morning, we face a choice. We can either see the day ahead as a chance to make things better or just another day full of problems. This decision is entirely up to us and depends on how we look at things. Our attitude plays a crucial role in how we experience our daily lives. If we choose to have a positive attitude, we might see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Instead of being discouraged by difficulties, we can see them as chances to become stronger and more capable. On the other hand, if we approach each day with a negative attitude, we may only focus on the problems and setbacks. This mindset can make us feel overwhelmed and pessimistic about everything that comes our way. It's important to remember that life will always have its ups and downs. However, by choosing a positive attitude, we can navigate through challenges with resilience and optimism. We can choose to be grateful for the opportunities presented to us each day and make the most out of them. If you wake up each day thinking it's a chance to improve from yesterday in every way, that mindset becomes a habit. But if you wake up thinking positively, believing it's going to be a good day, you'll notice many of your worries and negative thoughts fade away over time. You won't have to stress about them anymore because they'll disappear. You'll see each experience as a lesson to learn from. In life school, you need to pass certain tests to progress. If you don't pass, you'll have to face the same lesson again later on. So it's better to succeed the first time around because it's easier that way. Take a look at your worries. Are they worth your time and energy? Are you stressing over things that aren't your responsibility? Or perhaps you're afraid of losing things like money, friends, or family. If fear is what's guiding you, it's not the right way to live, and it'll only lead to more problems later on. Begin your day by knowing that each opportunity it brings is a chance for you to get better. When the phone rings, answer it without being scared. If there's a problem at work, confront it directly. If there's trouble at home, do your best to make sure it's not because of something you did or said. Everywhere you go, try to be calm and relaxed. Try to begin and end your day with a smile. During the day, don't let your mind wander without purpose. Instead, think about the things that have been bothering you. Remember, problems are meant to be solved, not just worried about. If all we do is worry, it's bad for our health. Moreover, all these thoughts and feelings affect our physical health too. They can lower the body's functioning. You see, our physical body and its glands create the magnetic field around us. When we mistreat our bodies, this field weakens. Eventually, it can't protect us properly. And even small issues can cause big trouble. The big problem here is that whenever we break the rules, either by ourselves or together, there are consequences. The only solution is to get back on track and stay there until the issue is resolved. By doing this, you'll also notice a big improvement in your health. You won't need as much medical help, and your doctor's bills will go down when you start thinking more positively for yourself. This doesn't mean that positive thinking alone can make pain disappear. That's not what we're suggesting. But positive thinking can help eliminate the root cause that's causing the pain. Often these pains come from our thoughts and emotions. If someone is constantly troubled, they're always feeling unwell, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. To live happily, healthily, and peacefully, you need to face each problem directly. Try your best to solve it while understanding life's principles well. Now, we might ask ourselves, how do we know if there's a philosophy of life? Many people argue against it, saying it's just superstition, or that any moral code is just a way for a small group to control us. They believe we're completely free to do as we please. But true freedom comes when we're free from the flaws that cloud our judgment and integrity. We need to understand that wisdom is just how well our minds work internally. If we look at the magnetic field of the mind, we can see it has layers with a constant flickering of light passing through it. When our thoughts and beliefs are correct, these colors stay bright and clear. But when we hold on to wrong or negative beliefs, these colors fade, becoming dull, and we might start seeing life negatively, like a pessimist. All these aspects are connected in one big process. So, by looking at someone's life, we can get an idea if there's a higher power or not. Someone who lives well, does their job properly, and is usually happy is probably being rewarded, either directly by a divine being, or by the laws that such a being has set. There's no doubt that we live in a universe governed by laws that can't be broken without consequences. This applies not only to individuals but also to nations, each with its own collective identity. Every country has its own special qualities that make it unique. This includes things like the people's shared history, government systems, and even the land itself. Each group within a country, whether it's based on race or culture, also has its own special identity. These groups are made up of many individuals who share common traits and backgrounds. They each have their own future, which can sometimes be difficult because of neglect or misunderstandings. However, we're noticing a pattern where the lines between different groups are becoming less clear. People from various backgrounds are coming together and building better relationships with each other. The same is true for religion. Each religion has its own special qualities, followers, and effects on people's lives. Our religious beliefs affect our thoughts, feelings, and overall health. It's like an invisible medicine that keeps our inner selves healthy. But if we ignore or harm our own religious beliefs, it's difficult for other religious beliefs to help us until we've repaired our own. Just like how we can't change the race or nation we belong to, we can't easily change our religious beliefs. All these parts of who we are and what we believe in are like pieces of a bigger puzzle that affect every part of human life. We're at a very important time in history where the results of what we do are getting harder to handle. It's like someone who gets addicted to alcohol and loses touch with what's real. Similarly, as a society, we've become too focused on what we want and what we think is true, without thinking about how it affects others. Sometimes, we don't mean to hurt others to get what we want, but the things we want might not be possible without causing harm to someone else. Nature considers all of this. Animals also have their own groups and teachings about how to live. They follow these teachings closely because if they don't, their lives are in danger. Animals need to live in peace with themselves and their environment, or they won't make it. They learn from their parents and elders by watching what they do, not by what they say. This wisdom is passed down through generations, making sure the species survives. Like animals, humans also need to get along with each other and with nature. True religion is when all religions work well together. Not necessarily when everyone believes the same thing, but when everyone's beliefs are for the greater good. Music and art also help keep peace in the world. Every note in music is adjusted to fit into a bigger pattern, just like everything in nature works together in peace. However, humans often disturb this peace by putting their own wants before the well-being of others and the environment. It's important to think about what we're doing and make changes before it's too late. We won't disappear completely, but we'll have to think about our mistakes. The sooner we realize this and fix our errors, the easier it'll be. Each of us is important and has a role to play in keeping peace. If we do our part, we'll be fine, but if we ignore it, we'll stay in trouble until we fix things. Feeling happy with yourself means you're doing good things. When you start thinking, everything is going okay, it shows you're doing well. If you can learn from every problem and use that lesson to fix it, you're doing great. It's about finding chances to learn and improve, knowing how important it is to be nice and calm, and sharing with others. Even kids can understand these things. It's time for schools to teach us that life is about growing and becoming better people, not just about having a successful career. Maybe one day we'll have a machine that can measure how much we've improved morally, just like we have devices to find and treat physical illnesses. This machine could help us understand why we do the things we do, and if we're becoming better people. If the machine says we're being selfish or competitive, it's a sign we're in trouble. But if it shows we're kind, generous, and forgiving, it means we're doing well. It's important to notice our mistakes and try to fix them to become better people. Our goal in life is to keep improving. We all begin from different points, some with more advantages than others. But we all have many opportunities to grow and become better versions of ourselves. That's why we're here. Schools should concentrate on teaching us how to grow and improve, especially when we're young. The aim is to become better, more helpful, and ultimately happier people. Happiness comes from following the rules of life. While we might not be perfect at following them all the time, we can certainly improve. By thinking positively and correcting our mistakes, we can make ourselves 50 or even 75% happier in just a year or two. We can learn a lot about ourselves by thinking about our actions and feelings. When we know what we are good at and what we need to work on, we can find balance and become happier. Happiness isn't about just fitting in. It's about being true to who we are and doing what we are meant to do. Even if we don't understand everything about life right now, religion and philosophy can help us find meaning. Most people know honesty and integrity are important, but they don't always value them. Some might think they should just take what they can while they're alive. But it's better to be good, just in case there's life after death. If there is, the good things we've done will matter, and our mistakes will help us learn and grow even more. We live in a world where things are constantly being fixed. This is true for both people and entire countries. We will keep having problems until we start living by the values we all know are right. Most of the billions of people in the world are religious. They believe in a God and follow rules like treating others well and hoping for a better future. So if we all agree on these basic ideas, why do we still see so much conflict and suffering? People fight and even kill in the name of religion, even though this has caused only pain throughout history. Today, we still see sorrow caused by extreme beliefs and selfishness. These are just examples of a broken system. If we want to change things, we must follow the rules of kindness and friendship, even if we don't like someone or want what they have. This goes against any divine plan, whether we believe in one or not. Many people who don't believe in a divine plan are beginning to change their minds. They see that their current beliefs aren't helping them live happy lives. Some feel so stuck that they think about ending their lives. But they don't need to leave this world. They just need to change how they see things and live in a way that's true and realistic. Selfishness and ignoring others show that there's more to life than what we can see. The whole universe around us is alive, and everything in it follows certain rules and a big plan. Even things we think are just objects, like rocks or minerals, have their own energy and can affect us. Sometimes things we don't think are alive can still affect our health in surprising ways. This shows us there's a lot in the world we might not understand right away. We often learn about this hidden world through experiences of sadness and hardship. Throughout history, we've often learned important lessons through tough times and disasters. Now it's more important than ever to work on preventing these disasters. We've realized a basic truth. Kindness, goodness, selflessness, love, and honesty bring happiness. When we do what's right, we feel happy because we're in harmony with nature. Every action we take, even the small ones, adds to the bigger picture of life. There's a grand plan unfolding, and everything we do contributes to it. No matter how unimportant someone may seem, their experiences and growth are part of this plan. The whole universe follows certain rules that aim to improve everything. Remembering this can help us find more happiness, comfort, and joy in our lives. There's a well-known story about an Indian emperor who was very sad after losing his wife. Despite being rich and powerful, he couldn't find peace. A wise person told him the only way to heal was to wear the shirt of a truly happy person for a day. The emperor sent messengers everywhere to find such a person. After a long search, one messenger returned saying he found a happy man, but he didn't even have a shirt. This story teaches us important lessons similar to ancient sayings. It shows that real happiness doesn't always come from having lots of money or a high position. Sometimes the happiest people are those who have very little but are grateful for what they do have. In today's world, we often pursue wealth, fame, and success, believing they will make us happy. But we're realizing we can't always keep chasing after more. We've made billionaires and celebrated athletes, but there's a limit to how much wealth we can gather before it becomes too much. Instead of chasing wealth, we'll prioritize enriching our culture and having happy homes. The love and support of our loved ones will make us feel wealthier than money in the bank. Issues like debt will become less significant as we understand they are based on a flawed belief system. We don't need a special voice from above to tell us what's right. The goodness inside us will lead us, often by showing us what happens when we break life's rules. When we ignore the natural laws of life, we'll begin to feel their effects even if we can't see them. The balance of the unseen magnetic fields around us will be disrupted, causing feelings of discomfort. These disruptions can eventually impact our physical health, leading to illnesses that make it difficult for us to stay healthy. But if we follow these rules, they will keep us safe. We'll feel secure knowing we're living with honesty, which is the most natural way to live. We can't depend on others to rescue us. We must rescue ourselves by doing what's right. By following these principles, each day will get a little better. Our relationships will get stronger, and when we encounter problems, we'll find calm ways to solve them instead of getting angry or pushing away those we love. The key is to truly value all life, just like we believe God does. When we cherish everything that's good, we resemble God the most, and we can work to fix the problems caused by what's not good. When we unite with ourselves, we can solve almost any problem. By fully cooperating with ourselves, we're following God's guidance in our lives. It's important to understand that living happily is achievable by living positively and constructively. Inside each of us, there exists an invisible energy field. This energy is powerful, but if we don't use it wisely, it can cause harm. No one else can manage this energy for us, and temporary solutions from others won't last. The only lasting way to solve our problems is by taking responsibility for ourselves. Our health and happiness depend on how we treat ourselves. We can't rely on others to fix everything for us. Quick fixes might seem easy, but they rarely bring lasting results. To truly improve our lives, we must take charge of our own well-being. Taking care of ourselves involves several things. First, it means paying attention to our physical health. Eating well, exercising regularly, and getting enough rest are essential. When we take care of our bodies, we feel stronger and more capable of handling life's challenges. Secondly, mental and emotional health are just as important. We need to manage stress, cultivate positive relationships, and find ways to relax and unwind. These actions contribute to our overall happiness and resilience. Lastly, taking responsibility means making choices that align with our long-term goals and values. It means being accountable for our actions and learning from our mistakes. When we take ownership of our decisions, we empower ourselves to create a better future. Sometimes, when we try to fix things, it doesn't happen all at once. But even small changes can still bring more happiness to our lives. It's important to be okay with how we live and to celebrate when others succeed. These actions can make us better, healthier, and smarter people. They can also lead to new friendships and help us understand ourselves better. Even if our efforts don't solve everything right away, they can still make a big difference over time. By focusing on what's important to us and working towards it, we can bring positive changes into our lives. Being happy with our lives means accepting ourselves and appreciating the good things around us. It's also about supporting others and being happy for their achievements. When we do this, it not only makes them feel good, but also enriches our own lives. Making small changes doesn't mean giving up on big goals. It means taking small steps towards them every day. This approach can lead to personal growth and a sense of fulfillment. Thank you for listening.